We need to remain cautiously optimistic about the future recruiting operations as we continue to recruit in a market that has low youth propensity to serve, limited familiarity with military opportunities, a competitive labor market, and a declining eligibility among young adults. More specifically, we've observed over the last decade a growing divide between military and civilians. Data indicate that many of today's youth are not interested in military service and have many misperceptions about what life is like as a service member. Additionally, for the first time since this metric has been tracked, the majority of youth have never even considered military service as an option. That is, it's not even on the radar. This divide has been brought about by a confluence of many factors, including the shrinking military footprint and declining veteran presence across society. Young Americans now have fewer direct ties to a family member or a close friend who has served in the military. For example, in 1990, 40% of our young adults had a parent who served. That's down to 15% today.
For this News Nation special report, I spoke to members of the U.S. Army, the Navy, and the Special Forces. With a recruitment shortfall in the tens of thousands, they tell me enlisting young American men and women has never been a higher priority. It's a major effort to maintain a defense that for centuries has been declared the very best in the world.
Company, forward! Our military is in crisis, an overwhelming issue blatantly apparent in recruitment centers across the country, which, despite offering lucrative signing bonuses of up to $100,000 in tuition reimbursement opportunities for soldiers, spouses, and children, are still struggling to sign new soldiers.
Recruiting is an uphill battle across the country right now.
Over the past few years, the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines have struggled to meet their goals. In 2022, the Army missed that mark by 15,000 people, a full 25% short of its target. In 2023, the Army projects a 10,000 soldier shortfall. Likewise, the Navy wants to bring aboard 50,000 active duty and reserve recruits this year.
We are challenged by the fact that a small number of young Americans, 23%, are qualified to serve. Fewer still, we're finding, are interested in serving. And that's something that we are working very hard to change.
Former Green Beret John Spears fought in Vietnam. He points to a number of reasons why the decline is so significant.
There is a cultural bias against a young person who makes that decision to join the military, that they're somehow taking a less desirable pipeline to success.
To meet its quotas, some branches of the U.S. military are making concessions for recruits who could have once been disqualified.
You are no longer a civilian.
Like the Navy, which may offer waivers to those with previous drug use, have a history of mental illness, or who scored low on aptitude tests if they believe their candidate could still be molded into a quality sailor. But the sudden acceptance of once considered subpar recruits begs a serious question.
If the United States were to suddenly be in a conflict, would our military be able to hold the line and be the best defense that it's always been projected to be?
I'm 100% confident that our military can and would do what it needs to do to hold the line and win our nation's wars.
As America enters its 50th year of an all-volunteer force, military leaders don't foresee a draft in our future.
We have the greatest, smartest, most physically fit, ready soldiers that I have ever seen in my life. We have the highest grade military member that we have ever had. Anybody who wants to start the adventure of their life, I say go for it.
Recently, in an effort to get more of those unqualified Americans in, both the U.S. Army and the Navy have launched prep courses for those soldiers and sailors who may not meet those physical or intellectual requirements of the U.S. Army and Navy and military. Basically, this is a way for them to cut weight or get the grades that they need to actually join our armed forces. Elizabeth?
All right, Alex Capriello on board the battleship Iowa. Thanks so much for that report.
Es como que van de un lado para el otro, boludo. A ver, están muy cerca, son ovnis. Están muy cerca, claro. Ovnis asegurados.